Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. In part 3 of this series, we're going to show you how to assemble the dead mount rough grouse. First thing we're going to do is go through some material that we use here, just some basics. We might not use everything we have here, but we'll show you as we go. You're going to want to stick around for this. We're going to show you basically how to turn and burn this bird in 2 days. It'll be ready for market, following a few basic steps. So you're going to pick up some tips and tricks along the way. You're going to get some great value out of this video. So let's start over here to my right. You're going to need some painter's tape. Masking tape will also work. A sharp blade. I always use, if you watch any of my series of my fish or anything else, I usually use utility knife blades for most of my cutting. We're going to need a nice sharp needle with about, I don't know, 20 inches of thread, 2 feet of thread, something like that. This dead mount grouse, we're just going to need one hazel eye, 12 millimeter, a basic screwdriver, flat tip, a couple of clothespins, a couple of T-pins, and in the back here we have our epoxy sculpt, part A and part B. You can see on top there we're set up, that's going to go in the wing cavity when we get that far. Our drill, some preservative, borax, and a couple different side cutters, and some clay, and a little bit of cotton batting, and a little bit of wire. So before we get started on this assembly process, we're just gonna a quick talk about mannequins. You can use a rigid foam mannequin, or you can also make your own mannequin. This is called Excelsior, or basically wood wool. You can make your own mannequin. This form right here is designed for an extra large grouse. It's probably gonna be a little bit big for this bird. You can just tell by the tufts from experience that this is a medium-sized grouse, and the size of the tail here. So this one's probably going to be a little long. You can see right there, a little big. So we're going to elect to use one of these foam rigid mannequins. This is the one we're going to use to start with. What we did is we got a wire ran down here. This is probably a 12 gauge wire, basically just a clothes hanger is what it is, with a sharp little tip on it. What we did is we brought it through here, we created a loop on the bottom, and we basically just hot glued that right on there. So that's going to keep it from wanting to push out of your mannequin. And we also set another one up here through the side. Then basically this is going to be our support wire that's going to go into our predator. We're going to use the red fox for this. This is going to go basically like this and then into the mouth of the fox, and that'll stabilize our mount when we get that far. So that's the first 2 wires you want to use. When we're putting any of this wire into this rigid foam, a little trick is I pre-did these ahead of time, but on this foam, you can take a torch and you can heat up your wire tip, and it'll be just like going into butter. I mean, that will slide in there really, really nice for you. And in some of the commercial mannequins, these I poured myself. These are my own mannequins out of my own mold that I made. But on one of the commercial products, you can see there's going to be little holes like this, little dimples. I accented these on this one with the screwdriver just so you can see basically where they're going to be. There's going to be holes right here, basically dimples that are going to show you where to put your wing wires in for a flyer, and your leg wires right down in this area right here. There's going to be dimples in those molds, so that's going to help you along. So there is a little bit of a difference between a flying and a standing rough grouse. More so like an upland game birds with a pheasant, it's really critical, but you know, I mean, it's worth the money. I'm not endorsed or commercialized or ad revenue or any of that kind of stuff, but any of these companies for that kind of product, but I'm not endorsing anything, but I'm just going to give you the basics. So let's get started. These are 12 millimeter wires, or 12 gauge wire. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut off a couple pieces, basically about 8 inches long, and this is 14 gauge wire. I'm just going to go like that. This is, my wingspan is about 10 inches, so I get an idea where I'm at. Okay, one, that's going to be for the leg. And one more. Okay, we're going to straighten these out. Put that wire to the back. And basically what we're going to do is these are just going to help us stabilize our legs so that they're not all floppy like this. We're gonna put these wires right up inside there, and that's going to give us some structure and support to our legs. So what you want to do to help you along, you just want to put a point on this with your side cutters. Okay, just like that. dispose of this. We got a nice little point on the tip of that right there. Okay, that's going to help us. So we're going to flip this grouse over now. And to catch up real quick before we begin with this, what we did here is we basically prepped this bird for mounting. We skinned it out, got everything all ready to go. Took all the meat off of it, took the meat off the leg bones. We inverted the wings. Here's a good wing. The other one was shot up. This is a good wing inverted. That's what it's going to look like before we add a preservative. You got your double bone and your single bone, and that's about where you want to be. You don't want a sharp tip on this right here because it's going to cut through your feathers, just like that. And what's inside of here, we pulled this inside out. We inverted this head. We cleaned out the skull cavity, and you can see we put a little bit of clay in there. That's where we're at right now. So let's get started. This is live, unedited. This is how it is. This is how simple it is. So speed things along. I did the one already. This is basically what we're going to do right here. You'll see we just slid it through there. We made little slits in the bottom of the feet. We pull out the tendons and go from there. So same thing on this side. Okay, you just want to put that in there. Find your leg bone here. Okay, you just want to wiggle this. You don't want to have it protrude out the foot like this. Okay, you don't want that popping out of there. You want to have that followed all the way through. Okay, just wiggle that. You'll be able to feel where you're at. You don't want this bone here all twisted up and crazy looking. You want to find that hole right there. And we want to bring this wire out as close to that as we can. And the reasoning for that is we want our form to fit. You don't want to cheat on this. You want to make sure that we have enough skin here to pull over the back end of this form. So you can't cheat on this where you can bring it out over here. It's just going to screw up the whole symmetry of your mount. So you want to make sure that you come out. And you can see where we're at right there. Okay, there's the tip of the wire. We're going to keep working that a little bit until we get to where we want. Okay, right there. That's where we want to come out. Right there. Just through, just like that. And I always like to leave it stick out 3-4 inches, just for the simple reason if you don't leave it out of there far enough and you pull this back, it's going to slide back on you. You're going to have to start over. So leave enough sticking out where it's not going to intrude on your next step of mounting this bird, and you're not going to get jabbed by it, but at least you got a little bit there, a little bit of play. Okay, so we got our two leg bones wires put in place. And on this dead mount now, we don't have to recreate these. If this is a walking mount, you'd have to recreate this. You'd have to put some of this cotton in here, recreate some of the bone structure that we had. But on this dead mount, it's not crucial. Like I said, this is commercial taxidermy, and we're going to show you how to basically have this bird dried in 2 days, ready for market. So I'm just checking things out right here. I know we had a couple of rips, some tears in this bird from the shot shell, but we're going to be okay. That one's going to be to our advantage here in a little bit. I'll show you that. This tail right here, like I'd stated in our last video, we're going to replace this whole tail. And this is part of the secret of a turn and burn on a bird that, this is not a client's bird. This is my own grouse for, like I said, for a dead mount. So I'm going to take this tail off. This is a client's grouse. Of course, he'd want his original tail, and he'd have to try and fix that or replace some feathers, but that's for another series. So anyway, what you want to do next is you want to make sure that when we go to insert this wire right here, up in here, you don't want to have this all twisted, okay, like that. You want to make sure everything is straight so you have a nice transition when you slide that in. Okay, we've got all our feathers are going to lay really nice. We don't have a big twist in our neck. We're going to take some of this clay. This is a standard potter's clay. And it's not a real expensive clay. And we're just going to, basically, we're going to slide that over to recreate our neck. Nothing special. This is all going to be hid. And on dead mount, this doesn't have to be huge. You don't want to make it, okay, thumb size. This is plenty. If you go thumb size, you're going to have a hard time sliding it up in there, and you're going to have problems and trouble. So It's not critical. At the end, when we come back, we put some filler in here. I'll show you how to put some cotton up inside of here to start recreating more of that breast, the crop area. And we can adjust this up into the head. So that's plenty right there. An average, you can see pretty much the diameter of this, what we got going on here. So again, this is probably, I think I probably got maybe 6 inches protruding from the body up to the end here. So that's a good start. Okay, the next thing is we got to put preservative on the rest of our bird. I try and hold out on putting this preservative on until the very end. Reason being, you don't want the skin to dry out on you. You want to get some good stretch out of it. You can see right now, you can hear that it's starting to get dry because we have low humidity right now. And if you put this preservative on here and you let it sit around for an hour or so, you're not going to get the stretch out of your bird, and it's not going to go around your form. So here we go. We're just going to shake that around. It's nothing critical. This bird's going to dry up. The skin is. I mean, you don't have to cover every spot. I like to get a little bit up into the cavity. We work some up into the head area before. And this is gonna dry our bird out nice. I don't like to overdo it because it's just gonna fall out and you're gonna have this borax powder all over the place. It just makes a mess. And in a couple of days, the name of the game is we want this bird ready to go. So we're not gonna put a ton on there, just enough to dry things up, take care of some of the fluid and some little bit of blood that was left on there. And that's it. Okay, so we got that. Okay, again, we've got our, these are 12 gauge wires, no, 14 gauge. And this wing wire right here is going to be a 14 gauge wire, or a 12 gauge wire, 12 gauge wire. Let's redo that, live and unedited. Okay, a little heavier is 12 gauge wire. In through the legs is 14 gauge. There, I got it right that time. All right, let's continue. What we're going to do now is we've determined that, get a little bit on this wing, on this meat here, a little better, a little more. Okay, we're going to pull that inside out just like this, back the way it belonged. Okay, and we're going to shape these feathers back to where they needed to be. I got to get that bone back to where we were, just like that. There it is. This is going to lay really nice. And that's why we elected to have this wing hanging down, because this wing wasn't shot up nearly as bad as the other one was. If you watched the last series, the other one was badly damaged from bird shot. This is a really nice wing. Primary feathers aren't broken. This is going to be a good display side right here. So, all right, get that laid back out where we want it to. Now, this is, I think, for beginners, this is probably the trickiest part of the bird mount. Is, again, you got to make sure everything's straight. You don't want everything all twisted up. You want all your feather and your skin in alignment the best you can. So what we're going to do here is, this is the tricky part, is you're going to try and get this wire. We're going to fish it through down here. Okay, right here in this joint right here. We're going to start right there. You can feel the flex. That's where your wire is going to go into your bird. And you want to fish it all the way in through here. You can see where there's no hardly any feathers there. Okay, you're going to stay underneath that skin right there. And you're going to fish that wire all the way up where it pops right out here, right where the bone was. And what we're going to do between this wire and my epoxy sculpt right here is we're going to recreate all this meat that was in there using this. So let's get started. So what you want to do is you want to straighten this wing out the best you can. Okay, and you want to have a point on that wire. Okay, and you want to find out where your entry point is here. It gets a little tricky. You're going to find a spot here where there's skin and not a lot of tendon. You just want to wiggle that and you want to get it underneath. Back and forth here real slow until we find out where we're at. Okay, we're underneath. You can see where the wire is right there. We're underneath the skin. Okay, right there. You can see it. See the gray of the wire right there. And yet we're not over the top. We're not out this side. So we're in good shape. Okay, that's It's a critical first step to make sure you're on the right track. And you just want to keep spinning this back and forth. And I like to stick my finger in here so I can feel. There you are, right there. We're through. Just like that. That one popped out really, really easy. And that is critical. I can't state that enough. It is critical that you have a fresher bird is better, and you do not want your skin getting crispy. Okay, you want to keep this rehydrated, and things will go a lot smoother for you. So just like that, okay? See that? We got that through there. We're not through on the show side of the bird at all. You don't see any wire there. There's no wire exposed underneath here any place. It went right from here to there. And we could have started a little bit higher right here. If this is a flying bird, it'd have been more critical. Let's see, let's get my screwdriver here. To probably start up in here, up in this area. But for a dead mount, right down in here is fine. We're gonna be just fine. This wing is gonna be flopped and splayed open, and that'll work great. Okay, next stage. Get my water out. Basically 2 thumb-sized pieces of the clay epox. Epoxy sculpt. You can get this from any of your manufacturers that do taxidermy, woodworking companies carry this, so on and so forth.
You need part A and part B.
Part A, part B, 50-50 mix, a little water. And you've got roughly, even dry climate now, it's probably 75 degrees in here. A couple hours working time with this, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before it starts to set and cure. Full cure time is less than 24 hours, but you can get some flexibility on this for a couple of hours. But we're gonna have all this bird in this video just, we're gonna have plenty of dry time on this, so we're gonna make it work. And you just wanna mix this together. You don't want any swirls. You want same color, same consistency. And that water goes a long ways. Just a little bit, just so it doesn't stick to your fingers and get all gooey. I like to spend a few extra seconds just to make sure that chemical reaction is kicking off, so that this wing dries completely in a day or two. Like I said, we just want to turn and burn this. And I know you can put inside this wing, you can put silicone. A lot of taxidermists use clay. Basically, this and clay are about the same weight, but this, like I said, will dry a lot faster. Some folks just put cotton down inside of there, but this is going to be stable. It's going to dry rock hard in 24 hours, and that's going to help hold your primary feathers open. And I keep saying it, I think it's the word of the day, turn and burn, but you get this done, you want to cash in on it when you can. So a lot of taxidermists let their birds dry 2 or 3 weeks, but in this case, this grouse will be ready to go in a couple of days. Okay, so we got the clay ready to go. Just gonna clean my hands off here. We got clay residue on there and epoxy sculpt. Probably would recommend wearing rubber gloves for the epoxy sculpt, but for purposes of this video, I'm not gonna wear my latex gloves. I'm just gonna get this done. All right, water out of the way. You don't wanna spill extra water in your mount. All right, we got that all ready to go. We got our clay mixed up. We got our wires in here. We're set up with the clay inside the head. Okay, and we're ready with the clay on the wire there. And set everything up nice and straight. And you can see the reason I put the hook on this is when we put this down here, this little hook is going to help us support these feathers right here. So we'll get to that in a bit. Get ahead of myself here. But so next thing, key factor on this grouse is we want to make sure that, again, this skin is not twisted, okay? You want to make sure that everything is ready to go. Otherwise, you're going to fight twisted feathers, and that clay on the end of that wire is not going to go through here. You're gonna fight it. So key that this is, and you can see the way things are lined up, that we're in good shape. No twists. Okay, then we're going to gently open this cavity up right here. We're going to find out where the neck came through. I'm going to stick this right up in there, just like this. Then let gravity do its thing. Trying to feel where we're at right here. We're sticking that right into the skull, right into the clay. And we're going to pull the skin down. And you can see we got some twisted feathers here. So we know we got, there's something a little bit kittywampus. So we're just going to go slow and work that. Okay, what we're going to do is when we come to the top of the head now, we're going to put this through the skull. Okay, there's our wire right there. You don't want to have your fingers up here and give it a good push. You're going to get a puncture. So take your time. Bring that wire up through there. I like to keep this comb of this bird, these feathers, I like to keep those pushed down the best I can. Okay, I think I'm going to be happy with that for right now. Just going to work this real slow. We got some bunched up feathers here. We got an issue. All right, let's see what we can do about that. We got to get this to pull down without tearing the skin. Might actually have a little bit too much clay. Let's work that down. There we go, that's better. We've still got some twisted feathers. We can get through that. Okay. Let's try this again. And like anything in art, I mean, patience is key. If things don't work out, you can't get frustrated. You just got to keep after it. It'll come together for you. Some are easier than others. I don't know why that. I'm supposed to be showing you folks how to do this, and I'm on the struggle bus on this one for some reason. All right, we're getting it now. It's coming around. We had a little bit for the size of this bird. We just had a hair too much clay, that's all. And we pushed it down too far. All right, we got it. All right, there it is. Let's pull this up. Bring this down more. We gotta get this breast over the top of this. We're just working it down. We're getting it. Just taking a little time. Thanks for hanging in with us. We're just, like I said, sometimes some are easy and some aren't so easy. So, all right. I think we're in good shape there now. I'm just going to extend this like this when we do this mount, and we're going to fill this cavity up. What happened is all our clay got pushed down the rod. It did not go up, and you can see there's room right there. All right, we got this. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, this is our wire that goes into the fox's mouth. I'm going to bend that over, and being that there was a shot hole right here, we're going to try and stick that right through there without tearing the skin. So we're going to bring this back like this. All right, we're going to stick that right through there. Just like that. pull this back, straighten this wire out. Now you have to do that before you do your legs, otherwise you're going to run out of room. You're not going to have enough room to pull this off. You won't have enough stretch in your skin. You'll make a big rip. So there we go. We got that. Okay, and we're going to straighten this out. Straighten that wire, just like that. All right, now we're going to do the legs last. We want to make sure that this point of the bird is going to rest right here by the rump of this grouse. We're going to get rid of that. We don't need that in there. Just like that. I think we're in pretty good shape. All right, we had our wire. Like I said, when you fight with this, you don't want to lose your wire out of here. We just like on the legs too, we just about lost our wire. So we're just going to go back in here and make sure it's still coming out where we intended for it to plop through here. It's one of these birds. We lost it. All right, right back in. Told you it went too easy the first time. Just gonna wiggle that, bring it right back through the bone, right where we needed to be. All right. Starting to lose credibility and know what I'm doing here. Between this and our video on the bluegill, where we tinted the bluegill using baseball cards. But that's another episode. If you want to catch that one, please go back and look. It was tinting a bluegill using baseball cardboard stock ink. But that's for another day. Anyway, task at hand. All right, we're gonna go through right up there where I indicated on one of our forms. Okay, about right there for the wing. We're gonna bring that right through, right out the other side. Just like that. Came right out over here. Okay, right there. I'm just going to bring it through about 3-4 inches, just like that. What you want to do is you want to roll that wire. You can use your pliers. Same thing, we're just going to put a loop, kind of like we got the loop here. We're just going to close that loop up a little bit, that U. I'm going to come right back in, and that's going to lock that wing in place for us. Right back into the body. Kind of see what we did right there. We came through right here, and we arched it, rainbowed it right back in, right there. And what you want to do is you want to take your side cutters, and you just want to gently give that a couple of taps. Just cinch that up inside of there, just like that. You're going to lose some feathers, don't panic. It's not the end of the world. It's always going to happen. Okay, again, we're going to realign this bird inside this form. All right, the next thing we're going to do, right up in this area, we're going to lock these feet in. Now these we're not going to arch and put out the back side. It's just a dead mount grouse. They're locked in this rigid foam. They're going to stay there. Okay, there's one. Same thing on this side. Same place. Fairly close. For a dead mount bird, these birds are hanging out. It's really not critical that you get them exactly where you want. You just want to make sure you have enough skin right here to close this bird up. Just like that. Okay, before we wrap up this edition, we have this epoxy sculpt dried right here. Turn this so the camera can get in there. I'm going to show you how to put this in. And we get back on the fourth part of this dead mount series. We're going to show you how to stitch this bird and finish up your assembly. So what we're going to do is we got that bone right there. Okay, we've got our putty. Like I said, we're just going to recreate, get this narrow, basically like the meat was in the wing, just like that. I'm going to stick this right up inside that cavity right there. Wherever that double bone was up in there, we're just filling that right up with this putty. Get it down there. Just takes a little bit, work it in. I'm going to take the second bunch and do the same thing. I'm just going to get that right on in there. Right down inside of there. Just like that. All right, we're going to turn this around now. I'm going to pull this wing back. We're going to finish working that epoxy sculpt right down into that wing. Just bringing this down. Just want to go slow so you don't pull the wing off of your skin. Just get it where you feel comfortable. We're just working that putty so that our feathers are placed the way we want. You can see that side. We're about where we want to be on that right there. They're not all twisted. We got nice feathers. This is going to fall back this way. And everything's ready to go. Just all we need is a little bit of preening and some of that blue painter's tape to get this done after this bird's stitched together. So that looks good. You can see we're nice and thick right in here. It looks nice. All our feather pattern is really lined up. We're in good shape. Okay. So that'll do that. This is all going to pull together. And hang around for the next part of this. We're gonna show you how to stitch this together and do final assembly.